Man,
Yeah,
this is
for sure.
Drivewire Radio. My goal here, like, we're gonna talk about all like hidden gems, which is coming up. Spirit, which just came out, which is a dope song. Like, I want to get into that, but
Thanks, man.
also, I really focus on how the band supports itself, right?
Okay.
Because I'm one of those musicians who's a little bit of a nerd, and the reality is there's a lot more to music than making music,
Oh yeah,
and you have to be talented. You have like that's the start. I make no qualms about it. The art is the centerpiece,
100%.
but there is also another portion of the world that we live in, like it or not, that you don't get at least something down on it, you're dead in the water, and you'll be making lattes at Starbucks for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And I say this all the time, there's literally nothing wrong with that unless it's not what you love to do,
Yep.
right? So
100%.
so how many artists have you talked to where they're amazingly talented, right? Which is a prerequisite, but they get there and they don't get any further.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on this, man. You got the right guy. Let me tell you that.
That's
I have
awesome.
a lot to say on this topic.
Load me up.
Yeah. So I completely agree. The way that I always explain it to people, and because we get a lot of these sort of like questions from other musicians who are like wondering like, hey, like, I love where you guys are at now. Like, we've been a band for 10 years and it has not been it has not been a very like hockey stick growth kind of curve.
By the way,
And
just for my audience, when you're watching this is
yeah,
Justin from the Blue Stones. Okay, they're down in. Your bio says Windsor on Google, but were you playing all over the GTA? Where are you mainly playing?
yeah, I mean, we still consider ourselves like based in Windsor.
Okay, kick ass.
Um,
He's down in the southwestern Ontario area, and
mhm.
I'll just say it: like you guys have some really dope like rock, blues rock, kind of edging on psychedelic, but I would put you squarely in the like kind of blues rock segment. I love that. That's who we're talking to. In terms of the questions, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just didn't want to get too far into the interview. And then,
Yeah,
by the way, this is who
yeah.
I'm talking
Give a little bit of context here.
to,
Yes,
right?
smart,
So you
smart.
said you get asked by bands
Mhm.
fairly often about the actual where to or how to. What are the questions you're getting and what are the answers? And that's an awesome place to start.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's a lot of like basically like how did you guys get there, and how did you get where you are now? And I think it's funny because like no matter where you are at as a musician, someone wishes they were where you are at. And it's never going to feel as like you never feel like you've arrived no matter where you are. You know what I mean? Like the biggest
100%.
bands in the world are always going to think like, oh man, if only we could play like open air stadiums instead of just arenas. Like what act that is still like actively making music is like satisfied. It's just so that's the one thing is like don't try and make that the aim because you're never going to be happy. And that's I think a very quick way to be like depressed and go into a huge downward spiral, which you see a lot of
There's so
artists
much
happen to them, unfortunately, man.
Yeah, that's
So
really
that's where like
that's a good thought. Like there's always
yeah,
someone that who wants to be where you are, and there's always somewhere where you want to be. Like you're never. I think that's really a cool point you just brought up because I think that about the whole universe. Like you never make it, right? Like the biggest tree is always trying to get bigger, and that's just it's a fucking
yep,
tree. Like there's nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's always growing, and that's really cool. Like there are some artists when I've sat around them and I've said, "Oh, I wish I could play like one of my idols for guitar. Her name is Orianthi. I don't know if you've heard her, but she's an amazing. Oh my gosh, dude! I'll text you. She's amazing. She used to play with Michael Jackson before he's dead, and then she did her own thing, and she's ridiculous.
oh wow,
And I
okay,
remember talking just at a party, like, "Oh, I wish I could play this and show them." And a friend said what you said, where he was like, "Yeah, but she's like on her own journey, and she thinks she can get better still." And that really hit me, where I was like, "Damn, like, yeah, that makes sense."
yep.
So what do you say to an artist? You say, look, like just recognize you are where you are, and you're gonna get better and keep going.
Yeah, like that's the premise, because I think that gets to the underlying issue there, which is like, why are you asking in the first place? Is it because you think that everything's going to be perfect once you get here? Because it won't be. So like, don't even worry about it. If that is going to ease your anxiety at all.
Right.
That being said, here's how we kind of did it. And it's, I mean, like, again, you have to have 51% is the art. Okay. If
51%.
there's a perfect, if like the pie chart represents like someone who has theoretically made it, which, practically impossible, but like they've achieved everything, all success that is even like theoretically possible, 51% of that would be the art. And I say that because if you don't have that, then you're not even at the passing grade. And
so
then
you're saying have a minimum amount of talent.
No, I'm saying the art.
51% is the art.
So like if you were to say like, so in my view, it's like 50. So okay, to make the perfect like pie chart of like success, what is success made of?
Right.
51% of that is the art.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is like marketing, image, timing is just part of it.
Huge.
The team that you're with, the location that you're in, like all random little things. But like 51% of that is the music itself. And if you don't have that, then you could be perfect in every other category and you still only have 49%. You see what I'm saying? So like that piece of the puzzle is that big and that important. And if you don't have that, you're not going anywhere. That being said, if you do have that, and that's the only thing you only have 51%. So you need the combination of everything to be working very well, but the art is the main thing that anyone is going to pay attention to you for at all. So you need to have that start. Now that you have that, or maybe you don't, like work on that. But if you do have that, then there's a lot more to it now. You're just getting the ball rolling, right? And
yeah.
I think it was Jack White who said like artists these days, man, they have to like, you have to have business chops in order to stand out. And it's so different than how it used to be back in the day. Like he said, like, do you think Frank Sinatra ever cared about what his album art looked like? Probably not. He's like, the guy just wanted to sing and that's all he did. And everyone else, the whole like machine behind the show took care of everything else. They named the albums. He didn't even write a lot of the songs. I mean, he wrote most of them, but usually you have a team putting this stuff together and the guy just wants to sing. And it's just not like that anymore because the industry is a lot different. People aren't buying music the same way that they were back in the day. So you need to have everything else firing too.
Yeah, that's really well said. Like it almost seems like to me that the music isn't what draws people in. The music is what keeps people in. But there's another part of the band that I'm going to call the way the band interacts, the types of content that the band produces, and the image, the pictures on social and the captions and the stories if they're putting them like that 49% is 49, like it's almost half, like it's a huge portion of what's getting places. And that unfortunately, like an artist who has really good 49% and only decent 51%, like only decent art, I think they will go further than someone with amazing art and no 41 or 49%.
Yeah. So again, it's like, it's almost, honestly, a better way of putting it is like grading it like an essay. And like the heaviest weighted component is the music, right? And so you can get a passing grade, you can get a D- if the art is amazing and you have nothing else going for you.
Yeah,
you'll get a D-.
You could go to enough bars and people would be like, holy shit, and walk into the bar to hear you. But if they're not, if you're not letting people know which bar you're going to, right? Then it's gonna be shit every night.
Exactly. And you're just like you're lucky, you're just throwing it up to luck. So basically, like, yeah, man, you have to have everything else firing. Because partly just because of competition. I mean, if a band has really good music and they do the business side of things really, really well, then there's another band that's not going to be noticed. And it's not really that competitive. I kind of hesitate to say that because I think music is a lot less competitive than a lot of people make it out to be. And like the whole thing with like Battle of the Bands and contests like that, it's kind of weird. Music is not that kind of game. But
Yeah, that's
that
a
being
stunt
said,
to get people in the bar.
yeah, exactly. I
And
mean,
it's
and
dope. It's dope though. Like it's cool. Like see everybody. I can see myself screaming for a band that I like more than the other. Like I get it as an event, but
yeah,
you're
it can
right.
sometimes be fun for the audience, right?
Yeah,
But I just like,
but that's not the
I
industry you're saying.
no, and I don't like when bands kind of like try all these like contests and like this is gonna be it, and like if we get number one on this, we're gonna be huge. It's like no, you're not. I mean, it's just not. It's not going to be the sole thing that gets you to where you kind of want to go.
That's right.
So just forget about it. But yeah, man, there's a lot. Like the business side of things is not to be underestimated, I guess. Put the art first for sure, but just make small steps. And that's going back to the original question. Like that's what we tell younger artists is to pay attention to the small victories. And like when we were coming up in Windsor, Windsor has Fog Lounge, which CBC a bunch of years back, they did a big music music venue competition to be like, what is the best music venue or music bar in Canada? Like a club. And Fog Lounge won that competition.
Oh,
And so we were always like, man, that'd be so cool to play there. And this was like, we had never really played a show before. And we were like, we got to set that goal, man. One day we're going to play Fog Lounge. And it's like, the capacity is like 67 people. Like it's not a big bar at all.
so you said it was a bar of like 67 people. You hit up the guy, and that's where we're at.
Okay. So we hit up the guy after we played a random show, and we were like, here's our music, here's like all of our demos, like, you know, listen to them beforehand and give us any feedback if we're not like ready to play your bar or anything. He's like, does next Thursday work? Like he didn't even open the email with the demos in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we had no idea though. We thought that like, oh well, clearly a bar wants to make sure there's a good band playing before they book them. He was like, no, if you want to have people come to my bar to drink beer, I'll fucking have you play. And so we showed up.
Can I talk to that for a second? I love that because so many things stand out in the stories that you're saying. This Southern Ontario conversation is cool, man. I feel like when you're from the same place, you vibe well, like 100%.
Yeah.
First thing, getting the thing that you wanted was way easier than you thought it would be. Like you showed up over prepared, like here's 9 demos and 2 like live gigs and like 6 different references from bars. And he's like, yeah, like next Thursday is cool, right? So you had to take the step. So many artists or like bands or like conversations I have with people, and I'm like, okay, but when did you take the step? And they're like, okay,
yeah, man, shoot your shot.
Send a message, like, send an email.
100%, man. It's
like that's fundamentally how we got in touch with you guys. Is we just said, hey, we like your shit, let's talk. Like, and you get, and sometimes it's a no and sometimes it's a yes. Like just you know, that's the first thing. Second thing, like sometimes when you feel like something is really coveted, like, oh, I really want to play a spot at the Fog Lounge, you can like elevate the thing that you want to a place where it seems rare. But from his perspective, this is the owner of a bar. He's in the bar every single day. He doesn't care about next Thursday. Like he cares, but he doesn't, like, it's not as big of a deal to him as it is. I think that traps people is they don't see how it cost him nothing to give that to you. It cost him 0. In fact, you paid him by bringing people in, right?
Right.
And they miss that. So yeah, cool story, man.
100, and that's it. Like, don't shoot yourself in the foot by not just like trying and giving it a shot. And like, if you're not ready, they'll tell you, and it's not a big deal. Then you just keep preparing. Like it doesn't really throw you off course or anything.
Like,
Um,
can you imagine how much a bar owner would respect the band who took 6 months and took what they had to say in mind and wrote 4 different songs and we're like, hey, this is our new set because what you said, or can we do it now? Like,
yeah, they'd be like, okay, you're fucking, yeah, of course.
yes,
Nobody listens to us. So yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Be the one
So
band
yeah.
who does what the bar says. So how did it go
Mhm.
from there?
It
Did
was
you
it was a
celebrate?
great show, but that was like celebrating that was a small victory. And that was like key to keeping the momentum going. And then at that point it was like, okay, well now we want to like sell this bar out. And we had to, and it was again only 65 people. And we still had to play like 4 or 5 more shows to do that. But then we finally did it. And then it was like, well, why don't we try booking a show in London? Like it'd be cool to like go on tour or like play in a different city where no one knows us. Cause the 65 people that were in the room were like half of them were people that we knew. Right.
Right.
And then so now we started like we had a little mini victory when we like played our first show outside of Windsor. And then we had a mini victory when we played our first show in Toronto because it's a big city. And then, you know, we put together like a little tour where we did like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, it was something like Windsor, London, Toronto. And then the next weekend we did like Guelph, Kingston, Montreal. And then that was like we kind of did a tour and that was a mini victory. And you just let those things keep the momentum going, and then eventually all of those small victories you look back and you're like, oh shit, we have done a lot, you know.
Absolutely.
um
And it's bigger. Like sometimes when you take a small step, right, it feels like going from house gigs to bars isn't that big of a step. But
mhm.
if you are clever and you think ahead, like going from arenas to open air stadiums is kind of the same step, just further
Yeah,
down the line. So
totally.
like the steps themselves get larger, but they don't feel as big.
Yeah, it's a
So
great
the
way to
small
put it.
stuff
Actually, it's a
is really
great way to put it.
important. It's really important, man. I like that you guys are celebrating that, and it's motivating too, right? Like you,
Mhm.
instead of waiting 19 years to get your victory, you get one like next Sunday, and then you get another one like 2 Sundays after that, and then
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and
it's
I mean you like you'll inevitably have the big victories along the way, right? Like when we got nominated for a Juno, that was a big one. Like we did not expect that. And that was really cool. We didn't end up winning, but that didn't matter because we had the small victory was getting the nod, right? And it was kind of inconsequential if we won or not.
that's
And,
right.
and
Because
it's
now
like,
now in your emails you can sign it Juno nominated.
yeah, exactly. I don't, but I could.
Well, we had
um,
a band on. Oh man, don't do this to me, brain. It'll come to me. I'm just gonna interrupt you and say the name of their band. But they said that they won a battle of the bands, which I know you were just kind of chirping, but they did win like a pretty large one in. I'm pretty sure it was in Barrie, and like the literal fact that they could put like champion of this blues festival, like that got responses from more people because they had celebrated and recognized a small victory. So
right. There was one that we did, one for Hits FM. I think they're like Hamilton, Niagara. And that's a big one. It's called the Rock Search. And like the Trues won it. Trying to think of other bigger bands that won. But basically in our year, it was us and the Glorious Sons and a bunch of other bands. And the Glorious Sons ended up winning. And we were like, oh shit, like I don't know, this was billed as like, you know, like the Trues won this and then they went on to do like cool things. But it didn't end up it didn't end up mattering because the Glorious Sons, that's not what propelled them to success. They would have got that no matter, they would have got to where they are now no matter what. And we ended up getting to where we are. So like it's kind of like I just think a lot of people think that those things do too much for their careers. I mean, things like Junos and Grammys will kind of like those are the biggest in the world. Like those will do things for you. But yeah, in general, the competitions, man, I'm not too hot on, especially because like to me, it feels like being thrust into a game that I didn't sign up for. Like, imagine you were like walking to work, consistently. You walk to work every day for a month, and someone is like, oh, dude, you know what? I'm sorry to say, you were like almost in last place for people who walk to work from where you live. You'd be like, okay, I don't care. What are you talking about? What do you mean I'm almost last? So like, oh, well, like out of all the people who live near you and work near you, almost everyone got there faster. You'd be like, dude, that's great. I'm not trying to run to work or get there fastest. And that's what it's like with music. When we write music, we're not thinking like, how can I write this song so that I win a competition, or, you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of pointless when someone puts you into a competition and you didn't even ask, really. And it's like, that's not why I'm doing this. So what? I don't even care. You know what I mean?
100%.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, it's not like if you lost and you took it personally, that would be very bad. It's not about that at all. Like, it's not about that at all. And like, you're kind of outsourcing your art's, merits to the values of someone else. Like, I get what you're saying. I get it. I totally get it. I get both sides. Like, I get why it's promotional and exciting and like, yeah, Judgment, let's see it. And I get why also it's like, yeah, as an artist, it's not gonna, and it won't. Like, it's a one-time event. Like, it's not gonna make or break someone's entire career to, do something cool. It's not like you're playing the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, it's not. I don't know. That's again, I think they're like interesting. And again, it was to the flip side of what I just said. It was cool to get a Juno nomination, and I was happy for that. But it's not the purpose of what we're trying to do. Whereas I can see why athletes are devastated when they get to the Super Bowl and lose, because that's the purpose. That's what they're trying to do. And it's just that's not what we're trying to do. So I don't know. It's kind of like cool if it happens and okay if it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Like, aiming at a Juno, I think, would be a less effective way of earning a Juno than aiming at making the dopest shit your band can possibly pump out. Like, I can't. Yes. If you had a band of equal talent and one was aiming at a Juno and one was aiming at total dopeness, like, the vibe at the end of those songs, the Juno's going to.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
No question. Yes. So it's counterintuitive, but it's completely makes sense. Like, once you've thought it through of why you're doing it, and I get it, man. I'm on that train. So one of the things that I really like that you guys did was your live on display series. You did like high production value, well done songs in a dingy, shitty looking bar. Hopefully that's not the Fog Lounge.
No. But it was like an antique shop.
Yeah, it's like a really dingy area. Like, I'm not knocking it. It's just a vibe, right? And then
it was an antique shop.
good lighting, actually timed lighting, which I wanted to get into, and high production value. Did you guys do that to make up, because it was about 4 or 5 months ago, like half a year ago, let's call it, where you did that? I was wondering, did you do that to give your fans the live vibe because shows were not possible?
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And it was we just,
people liked it.
Yeah. We honestly, man, we didn't really love the whole, like, the way that a lot of artists were trying to like supplement the live setting. And our producer, Paul Meany, he was working closely with us. We had just finished recording the album in January. And then he, when everything happened, we were like talking to him, like, what are we going to do? And like, this kind of feels like an opportunity to do something cool. And I remember he sent us, it was Dropkick Murphys did a show at Fenway in Boston. And everyone was like, this is it. This is the first like big thing. And Springsteen went and played with them. And we're like, let's see how this turns out. And it was garbage because there was no energy. It was like the same thing of a live show without a live audience. And we realized that if we're taking out that element of the audience, we need to add in some extra elements on top of that, which was like the location being interesting, the camera movements and syncing all of that up. The light show, and bringing all that in to add up to equal the energy that the audience would normally give you. So we figured like this is a cool opportunity for like you to see the Bluestones live, like up front and very up close, which, you know, doesn't really happen at a show. You're stuck wherever you're standing.
I think that'll be very, and I like that. Like I think actually I'm going to send you like previous shows and be like, skip to this part, skip to that part. Cause you've just taken words like out of my mouth. I really think it would be cool. I don't know how this would be doable, but if a band had like a live stream with cameras set on each of the people playing on stage and one camera set on the stage, and the stream viewers could choose which camera and place they wanted to see and stand on stage. Like, I think that's unreal cool. And also like in the next 5 or 10 years, panoramic cameras and UV headsets are going to be a thing. So people are going to be able to like have a camera right above the bells of the drum set, and the artist or the watcher can just sit in their bedroom and look, towards the audience and see the whole stage from right on stage.
Yeah. Plus directional audio too. Like that's the thing. I'm very like, so obviously with COVID and whatnot, no shows going on. So when we were first kind of starting out, I had to find a job that could balance the music side of things with touring. And so I was a technician for a company based in Toronto that did a lot of like VR and AR and all that stuff. And so I took like a lot of the experiences that they built and would like install them in different like locations where we were like doing activations for brands and whatnot. So I have a lot of like, I went back to them and started doing project management with COVID because I wasn't touring. And so I have a lot of experience with like VR, and it's kind of nuts, the stuff that you can do, man. And like the stuff that's coming up, especially when it comes to like events, sports, shows, concerts. It's going to be pretty nuts, man. Like theater is going to be a thing that comes back because now like you can have different stage performances from like live, like theater acting. That's like totally different. And it's like almost like a movie, but it's more like a play. You can just see from different perspectives and watch the same thing multiple times. And you could do this with a concert too, like watch the same show multiple times from different angles and see things that you didn't catch the first time through and whatnot. When you're sitting here and you're watching, yeah, exactly. Like, because think about the choreography that you're seeing is like, that's what the director of photography or the DOP or the director of the movie decided you're going to see this. Yeah. This is what you're going to see because I get to choose.
It's like censoring every piece of content. And like, this is I love this kind of conversation because now you also have a global audience for every show. Like you're no longer limited geographically, and that's going to blow the fucking lid. Like, now every evening showing of The Lion King that's acted live can have an audience of like way more than the couple of thousand people that could fit in the theater.
Yeah,
and totally. Those audiences, every single one of them could have its own unique, I want to see it from this characters or the behind the stage, above the stage. Like, that's wild thought, man.
Yeah, man.
That's really cool.
Very cool.
My whole thing is there's just too many ways. Like I've been saying this on air a lot, but it would be easy to, let's say you had your favorite kind of loop pedal, or like, here, I'll do it right now. This guitar is made by a guy in BC.
Oh, wow. Sweet. That's really cool. It's got like an old Ontario license plate, or
this guitar is like the coolest thing in my life. Probably. It has shotgun shells for the tone pots.
Oh shit.
It's got a 9mm for the switch. It's got an Ontario farm license plate. It was made by a dude in BC, and his
Huh.
deal is Cruisecaster.
Cruisecaster. That's
Yeah,
cool.
his last name is Cruz. Now this is number 27. I think
Oh wow,
I stole
numbered.
it. I think he thinks I stole it because if you go to his website, cruisecaster.com, you can see them all numbered and he has everyone up there except for mine. He's taken it down. But
Weird.
so I just gave him a shout out. So if this gets a bunch of views, I could actually go to him and say, yo, let me stick a link in the description for your guitars. And then when someone buys, you just shoot me $50 and you can just have all the business you want. Right.
Affiliate commissions, man. Yep.
That's why isn't every single artist online doing that? Like, yo, hey, all my fans, like you guys you do talks in between about your show. Like, I love that you're doing this. Where I think it was Tarek who was talking about Spirit, and he has like a 1.5 minute or 2 minute video of him just shooting the shit with the camera. And then like so many people are giving, hey, give us the breakdown of this, show us how to play this, show us. I love that. But what about, yo, guys, like, did you catch that sound on the guitar in the chorus? Like, that was this pedal. It's by Wampler, and you can pick it up for $500. But if you do that, buy it from our link. You don't have to if you don't want it. But if you want that sound, it's a dope pedal. Buy it from us, and then you get like this. What the hell? And if
you get an affiliate commission,
right? Like, what if there was an online merch table standing beside you during this virtual?
Oh, that would be part of it, 100%.
That's what I'm saying. But
yes.
There's like it's a business thought, but it's so and I want artists. I really wish they could harness the creativity that could come from this business side of the business. Like,
and because like the way that
money.
and that's the thing. I think that a lot of artists have that kind of like fear of making too much money.
Dude,
like they don't deserve it or something.
Like, if you're a good person, money just makes you a good person with money. Like, if you're a dick, that's another story, but it has nothing to do with your cash. It has to do with you.
100%. Yeah. And honestly, man, it's like, that's, I think, especially in the type of world that we live in now, that like money is how you make the difference. You know, because you choose how you want to spend it. And if you want to choose to spend that money helping people and changing the world, then that's how you're going to do it. You're going to make a bigger splash through money than you will with art, to be honest. Or you can just do it in different ways. Like if they're not mutually exclusive, you don't have to just do one or the other.
You could use your art to sponsor a good cause and use your money to like push ads for the art that sponsors the cause. Like that whole thing, although it involves money, that what I just said is completely benevolent and towards helping everything. Like, it's such a good cause, but I think people get this weird thing of like, oh, if I'm going to get successful, I'm going to turn into an asshole and all my family's going to leave. Like, that's weird. That's not even music. That's just money thoughts that people have in their junk mind.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Cobwebs, man. People are afraid of winning.
Yeah. They just don't. They're not in the right mindset. 100%.
Yeah, they're afraid to.
Couldn't agree more.
No, good ass conversation, man. What are your plans to go back when COVID's over? Are you going to hit the road as hard as you can, or?
Probably not. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's going to be so where the competition comes in is, I put it this way, like everyone is going to be looking to go on tour whenever they can now. So in a normal year, you don't have every band and every artist trying to play shows at the same time, because some people are off cycle, some people are on, some people are booking tours that make sense, some people are taking a break. Everyone just had a forced break, so now everyone is basically forced to go back. And so either you wanted to tour in 2020 and you couldn't,
or you planned,
or you were taking the year off and you were going to come back in 2021 either way. Yeah. So everyone is coming back. And so now there's going to be a big competition I think
a lot of listeners are coming out too, though. Like
that is true.
I agree with what you're saying. And in a year where like the same number of people was listening and there was more bands, well, then there's less people per band. And so there's less attention. But right now, like the population has also been put on a forced break from going out. So the people like me, like I'm not a bar. I actually really don't like bars unless I'm on stage ripping a guitar. I don't like them. I don't care. But I'll go like once every 2 months because I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm bored. I'm going to actually go to the bar. Like I want to.
Mhm.
But now that I haven't been able to do that for a year, as soon as the bar is open, a
Yeah.
musical person who like I really do appreciate, like, by the way, your tunes, I listened to a bunch of them, like, damn, this one's awesome. One of the ones on the live, I have it written down here, it really was dope. It started slowly with piano and it was, I think it was Let It Ride.
Shaking off the rust. Shaking off the rust. The piano one. Let It Ride was the intro. Shaking off the rust was the piano one.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah.
correcting me. Really
All
like
good.
that. Really liked
Thanks, man.
that song.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah.
No,
We don't normally do that song with like a piano intro. It goes right into like it's like more of a guitar song.
heavier.
Yeah. Which the music video for that one, actually, I'm just now realizing we spent all that time talking about it. The whole concept of the music video is we're playing shows in virtual reality. That's the whole concept. And so the music video is like it's kind of a cheesy music video, but I'm like on my couch with like a house coat and like pajamas and like a bowl of cereal, and I put on this like headset and I'm just like playing like this, and then it cuts to like this white room where I'm like dressed up like in stage attire, and I'm like playing with Tarek, and there's like people in the audience that are like the one guy's like sitting on the stage and like having a good time, and then it cuts to him in his house and he's like taking a shit on his toilet and but like wearing a VR headset. And so it's funny that I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's interesting that we went through that, and that was actually part of the. I think I saw not the video, but the live portion.
Okay, yeah,
like I watched that.
So the live, so we kind of reworked that one to like start with piano because Tarek was the like kind of our extent with like the like live stream stuff was Tarek was like in his basement with a piano and just doing like covers of songs. And then one day he was like, why don't I just do a piano version of like my song? And so he started playing Shaking Off the Rust, which is normally a hard driven guitar song. And fans were like, man, you got to record this. Like, this is really, really cool. So we're like, why don't we just make it the intro on this cool thing that we're doing? Yeah. So it worked out.
Yeah. Like, to me, a sign of a really skilled songwriter and band is the use of dynamics. And in popular music, you don't get it because of compression. They call it a radio sausage, and but like live, especially live or emulating any sort of live, or if you're going to listen to good, vinyl music on your head, the vibe of dynamics is cool because like if you're only ever playing loud, it's not loud because there's no quiet part to it.
Yeah.
And like when you have people who like you, I think because you guys use a lot of minor scales, you guys use a lot of like the blues notes, you guys have that, but then you change up the tone from this I'm guessing you guys are playing Les Pauls, and like you go from this, was I right? Did I nail the guitar?
Yeah, Tarek plays Les Paul. Yeah,
I didn't even see it. I heard it. So you have this sound, but then you change to the same song that people know to a completely different tone, but the same chords they're expecting from you. That's really cool, man, because then like you get this like, whoa, this like, whoa. There's a really cool artist, Samantha Martin and the Delta Sugar Band, really kick-ass band. They're in Hamilton. And she said to me, the best way she said, someone kind of came up to me and gave me real advice, asked me if I was open to it, said yes. And he said, Sam, when you're singing on 11 all the time, it doesn't leave you room to go to 11 or something along like
right.
You know what I mean? And so adding in that part, like I was vibing. I listened to it and I'm like, it's slower, it's piano. And then just the tones, I was like, yeah, this is blues. This is my style. And then the verse comes in and you start using the low notes on the piano. And then the chorus happens on the piano. There's chords, it's louder, it's voluminous, quiet. And then the guitar comes in heavy. And I was like, this is fucking killer, man. Like it was the build. So your fans picked it up well, and I really dig that.
Yeah, no, that was cool. We knew we wanted to have that like crescendo moment for the last song, and it turned out really well, man. Turned
It
out really
really
well. So
did.
thank you.
It really
Thanks
did. Yeah.
for appreciate.
And
I'm glad you appreciate it.
one thing
Okay.
that you guys
Yeah,
do is you talk about your art online. And I've been telling people, it's another thing that you guys are doing that I've been putting on this show that I'm like, you got to start doing this because
mm-hmm.
like I encourage any one of the people who hears this, like we don't have a huge number of listeners, but the people who do are looking for answers. Like look at what they're doing. Go to the Bluestones YouTube, listen to their songs, they're kick ass, but look at their fucking videos in between their songs of like, yo, this is the vibe of this song that we just put out. And it's one or two of them. Is it always Tarek who's talking or is it you too?
No, it's pretty much always Tark. Yeah.
Cool. So look, it doesn't even matter if everyone does it. That's the point. Like it's so easy
Yeah.
to think. But he just goes on there and he's like, yo, this is our vibe. It started like this. We actually had the piece of the song that was like this. So we changed it from the verse to the chorus and the chorus to the verse. And, you know, it kind of started in practice. And that was, and like, that's the whole video, just that. And then at the end, he's like, yeah, thank you so much for listening. You can check us out. Let me know what you want to hear about below and we'll go from there. What is he doing? He's building a relationship with the foundation of the band.
Exactly. And like when you look at the stats of those videos versus like the actual songs themselves, the views are like way less, but that's not the point because
those are the people who care.
Exactly, man. And that's it. That's all I'm trying to build is like if there's someone that wants to go deeper with you, let them and like put that out there and have it's more fulfilling for you as an artist too. Like we during COVID launched a Patreon because we were kind of like touring is so involved and there's so much like it's so much work and so much effort that we were like caught up in that so much and we realized we weren't really like giving much fan service. And so we realized like now we have the time and it would be nice to have like the income that we're not getting from from shows like on this subscription thing. Give it a shot. And now it's really cool because I basically know like the top 1% of all my fans by name and I talk to them in person, virtually in person every month. And I like know what's going on in their lives and they know what's going on in mine. And it's cool to have that kind of like connection. And yeah, why wouldn't you just give that to someone, man? It's so easy.
How many people is the top 1%?
Well, I mean, I think we have like 40 something 50 Perfect. Maybe on Patreon. Yeah.
And this is what I've been trying to say. Like if you have freaking 1,000 people who watch your videos, like, and you put something that you sell or that you market or that you whatever, and 1% of them purchases or 1% of them signs up to do your Patreon and give you $10 a month. Like that's 10 people who are if it's only 100 or 1,000 people who watch, 1% of that's 10 people. That's only if you get 1% support from your audience.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need millions of people watching unless you're only relying on streaming dollars.
Yeah, and you never should be, man. That's like that's the top of the funnel.
That should be like just like here's some extra change. But then how do I love that you're building a relationship and knowing things about people, and they're probably telling you shit that you're like, I can't believe that my art that they're telling me like I'm just a musician. Why are they giving me this? It's because they like you.
Yeah.
But that's you went the extra mile. The mile, if you've already walked 1.5 miles, going 1.6 miles to get way more benefit. Come on.
Yeah, man. It's and it's just that extra, exactly like you're saying, like it's just providing the platform for however deep you want to go into what we're doing in our art, like we'll let you, and it's really cool, man. It's very rewarding at the same time. So
I think that should possibly become the advice that you give to people when they ask you how you got there, because I see a lot of times artists who don't do that. And like, let's be real. One, it's a lot of work, right? It is.
Yeah.
And two, and this is where people get caught up. It's scary to let other people judge you.
Yeah. And I think again, like you're saying, like for me, and I get it. I think a lot of these artists, like, why do you not want to like go ahead and explain the song? And I think Tarek had these same sort of like reservations, and I kind of had to like nudge along the way and be like, it's okay to do this.
Tell him
But
Carter from
you're
Drivewire says Justin was right.
there you go. Perfect. But it's like if you're already making music that's probably about like something that's personal to you anyway, and like people are reading the lyrics, and so they're 3/4 of the way there anyway. Why don't you just like take them home and just get that, like, here's what I was going for. And like, you know, the way Tarek always presents it, he's like, this doesn't mean that like this song can't mean that to something else to you, and it's kind of cool if it does mean something different to you than it does for the way I was writing it. And he kind of does try to like do things a little more generally lyrically, just to kind of get the song message across and see if it relates to you or not. But I think that is the thing, is that you're like, it's one thing to kind of write a poem, and it's a whole other thing to say like, yeah, this is a personal experience I had, and I went through this, and that it starts to get a little therapeutic. And I could see how some people don't want to go there, but my suggestion is do it, man, because people are going to connect with you more deeply, and people are a lot more empathetic than you think.
Yes. And like 5-second Vine or TikTok videos of like your guitarist noodling in the before a show or after a show or even at practice, like this extra here's us behind the scenes goes a huge long way, man.
Big time. Yeah,
dude,
big
I
time.
vibe with that.
And that's
100%.
It's another thing that we never really got around to when we were on tour, but like now we kind of started to get like into like filming and stuff, and like how can we start to capture these small little things that we're doing anyway. And if we can make that content, and then if that content can somehow provide value to someone so much that they're willing to like pay us to see it, it's a win-win-win-win, you know? Why wouldn't you do it?
Dude, why would you not do it? And like, you know, if you give out, it just opens so much possibility. Like if you take those steps and you're putting those behind the scenes in their little trailer videos, and you just start with that, and then you do a Patreon, and you're like, wait a second, why don't we do like a way big produced behind the scenes once a month? And it's like it just like, but if you don't do the first small ones to build the relationship, you don't get to do the bigger ones. Like that comes back to celebrating the small wins and small victories, man.
Yep, you got it. Exactly,
man.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that. How long have you guys been on High Octane with Sirius?
Oh, not that long. The song only came out a couple weeks ago.
So that's the first song that you guys got on the radio there.
I think we had a couple of other spins on Sirius with Black Holes.
Got you.
But never like added like this. Like it was always just kind of like one-offs here and there. This one was like an ad, and it was like it's in heavy rotation. So yeah.
How did it get there?
Pretty sweet. Our management. Yeah, our managers.
Give them a shout out. Go for it.
Yeah, George did a great job getting us that ad. That was big. So yeah, it was kind of like that's the job, right? That's what they do for us, is kind of advance that side of our careers and whatnot. And like that's kind of the way that we've always looked at it, is like we'll do the content stuff, and we'll like do the quality piece if it's the kind of manager's job to like broaden the horizons of who gets to see that. That's it.
100%, the bare minimum. Man. Couple other questions, my two last ones. But before we get to those, I want you to let the audience know where they can pick up some stuff. Buy your new album, by the way, out on the 19th of March. If this is airing after the 19th of March, buy their stuff. If it's not, pre-order their stuff. Okay. Your website is yeah, seriously, right? Like buy it, like support this band. They're awesome. Where can people find you? Where's the best place?
Yeah, so thebluestonesmusic.com, and then there's a tab there that his merch, and
Bluestone
merch is like
Music.
shop.thebluestonesmusic.com. So
Yeah,
thebluestonesmusic.com.
there's some pretty cool hoodies and shirts and hats and all of that.
Mhm.
These are my favorite questions. So here's one. If you were just starting right now and you were like an artist or a band and you did have the art but you didn't have anything else, right? Like this is a perfect question to ask you. If you had the 51% and you felt like, yeah, okay, we got our sound, what do you do now?
Play shows. And so this was, again, going back to like, this is everything ties together. So this goes back to like just shooting your shot, man. If you have a shot, take it. We went to see, one of our biggest influences was Sam Roberts back in the day. And we went to go see Sam Roberts in Amherstburg. And after the show, we noticed Dave Nugent, who's the guitar lead guitarist for Sam Roberts, was just like hanging out. And I had one of our CDs, and I was like, "Hey, man, like I don't want this to be weird, and I'm totally sorry if it is. Just ignore this. But like, you guys were a huge influence on us, and like I just wanted you to like check this out and let us know what you thought." And he was like a super cool guy. We ended up like hanging out at the bar all night and like drinking and whatnot. And he sent it to Sam, or like gave it to him on the bus or whatever. And then a few weeks later, we get a fucking email, man, from Sam Roberts saying like, "Dudes, this is like really cool stuff." Like gave us like a track breakdown. Like, "I love the beat on this song." Like, "Oh, I love like the chorus where you do this part." And we were like over the moon, man. I couldn't believe it. But he was like, you guys just need to play more shows. You need to play shows. And you'll get to where you're going if you play more shows. And he didn't really like explain it. And I felt like kind of like that was a cheap out, because I was like, why? Like, what are you talking about? Like
advice.
yeah, like that's so like up in the air, and it's almost like a platitude. But he's absolutely right, because we weren't ready at that time to be doing anything else. We weren't ready for like a bigger stage. You need to put in the hours on stage, refining your craft and getting better at playing your music. And you could play a song in your basement every day for 1,000 days, and it's still not going to be better than if you played that song 100 times on stage.
That's right.
Because there's something that happens with the audience. There's feedback that you just pick up on, and an energy that changes the way you play things. And the more you do that, the more you're reinforcing it.
That's right.
And so that was the best advice. And you put yourself in a position to meet people who are going to be able to make a difference in your career, right? Like when our kind of journey started, I can trace it back very, very well. We had a show. It was a Tuesday night show at the Horseshoe in Toronto. And there was a guy in the audience who was kind of like connected to the local Toronto scene very well, and then knew people in LA who did like sync placements. And he was like, "Wow, cool band." We started working with him. We got sync placement in Suits, the TV show. That kind of exploded. Then from there, we got a lot of streams on Spotify. From there, we like caught the attention of our management. From there, we signed a record deal. Like but it all comes down to like playing shows, right? And just playing as many shows as you can when you're just starting out, getting that really, really good.
100%. And like you end up having to deal with the drunk guy who leans on the mic, and you have to deal with like the lights are in your eyes, so you have to feel the guitar and not play it, and you're moving and you're like, "Oh fuck, my highs are too," and so now your foot's up on your amp and you're trying to lower your high, like you trying to change the dials on your amp while you're playing your guitar. Like live, you have all of this other stuff that doesn't show up in your bedroom, which is completely different. And like you said, the feedback from the audience, like when I was playing guitar in the bedroom, I always thought like playing the song technically perfect was the right way. I can tell you from experience on stage, playing the song, like let's say 87% perfect, but with really high energy is way more impactful than playing a song 100% technical and no energy. Guaranteed.
Totally.
Every time. No question.
Yes.
Like it's not
it gives everyone the full experience, right?
Yeah. And I've been in the zone and nailing it perfectly, and you get like a bunch of pats on the back at the bar and no one buys you a drink. And I've been in the zone like energetically, and you miss a couple notes, and in your head it's the worst big deal in the world, and then at the end people are like, that was fucking crazy, man, do more of that. I'm like, all right, well, there's a pattern here.
Yeah, 100%, man. And people will always say that, like, oh dude, this guy goes nuts on drums, and I'm like, I missed so much of the second verse.
They just want to see your,
it doesn't matter,
and you don't care what they like. It's almost like the less you care about what the audience is saying, the better vibe you have, and the more they like it anyways.
Yes,
like you
totally,
can't be self-conscious. No, I dig that, man. That was a good answer. Play shows is live, and I just want to apologize. I know Sam Roberts watched. I made a joke about your advice being bullshit. It's not. I actually got to interview Sam on this show, and it was really cool.
Nice,
man. It was
Sweet.
A really cool time. He's incredibly attuned to this, and he was big, like just like you did, where you're like, dude, I have so much to say about this conversation. He said the same thing, man. Really, really cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. My second favorite question to ask. Here we go. Aside from the music, okay, you can't say the music. What was the number 1 or 2 skills that helped you the most?
I don't know how general this is, but like marketing.
Hey, listen, there's no bad answers. I leave it vague on purpose. People give me the wildest range of answers on this, and they're never bad. So you said marketing. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, like understanding marketing, even like deeper than that, like specifically advertising, and kind of like understanding why this human psychology of like capturing someone's attention and trying to get them to pay attention to what you're doing. And that's like what like old style copywriting and advertising is all about. And it's like because we like run some Facebook ads whenever we're like trying to push a new single or something. And it's crazy how the music stays the exact same. The video is the exact same, but 2 different headlines will give you incredibly different results. And like one will stop people from like stop the scroll. That's like a huge thing in online marketing is like stop the scroll and get someone to like, wait, you just read something that makes you be like, okay, I got to see the rest of this. And like understanding those little key pieces to capturing people's attention. Because like you said, if the music is good, that's what's going to get people to stick around. So like get good at the music first, like we said, but then second, get good at capturing people's attention to listen to the music that you spend so long perfecting and crafting and pouring your heart into. Put a little bit of that effort into like getting people to listen in the first place, really? And understanding why they take those behaviors or why they take those actions and act the way they do.
Now I don't want to ask too many deep questions.
No, go ahead, man.
What's the 1 or 2 things that you have found that help stop the scroll the best?
So yeah, there's now you get into like kind of like specific stuff and like tactics, right?
Yeah, I don't want to out anybody.
No, there's no magic sauce, man. And that's another thing too is like don't listen to anybody who is selling you a fucking $5,000 course on how to do anything online for marketing, because it's all you can go to the library and sales tactics have been the same for the last 100 years, 150, 200 years, because people have not changed. And so you can, the same sort of thing, the same way that someone was selling someone a fridge in the 1940s, you can use to sell someone your music today if you really want to.
True.
So, I mean, like one of the things that we found is like questions are very good for that, for stopping the scroll. Like, is this, like if you had like a video with like a ripping guitar solo, it's like, is this guy the next Eddie Van Halen? And then someone's going to be like, well, I need to answer that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to watch the video to answer that. Right. If this guy's that good. Or if you like lead into something, like we had a funny one that was like Elton John has a radio show on I think it's Apple Music, and where he just kind of like plays music that he's listening to and that he's into. He's like a huge music nerd, as well as being obviously an amazing artist himself, but he's like just very into music consumption as well. And so he played one of our songs, but he like totally butchered our names. And so and it was really cool that he like introduced us. Is like Elton John kind of knows who I am, but he called me like Justin Tesler, and with his British accent, it came out like Justin Tesla. And then like he's totally screwed up Tarek's name as well. And so we were using this headline that was like Elton John totally screwed up our names, so we changed our names so he wouldn't be wrong. And it's just like a goofy, like not true at all, but like someone's like, what? Elton John screwed up our names. And then they like, it just stops them in their tracks. It's a weird thing to read on your newsfeed. But yeah,
really cool.
Fun things like that.
Almost just stuff that's so out there that people have like a really small but vital, like what the fuck moment,
Yes.
like you get them doing one of these, like what, and then they gotta engage with it. I would say what you're doing, and now this is just me responding to hearing those two things, is you're doing something unexpected.
Definitely.
Because if it's expected, you're gonna get the thumb that scrolls. But if it's like an unexpected thing, like a what, that's when you're gonna get that. Now I need to click on this and go in. So that's really cool, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And trying to make it, honestly, like if we're talking specifically about like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff, like making it like not be an obvious ad, because we all just like see so many ads. You just like know when you're looking at an ad before you even know that it's an ad, and you just scroll right by it. So if you make something that feels organic and looks interesting, and is honest and is not asking someone to like, I'm not asking anyone to give me anything. I'm just like, here's my video and like kind of introduction to my band. In any of those videos, we don't put like, click here to sign up for our email list. We don't put like, here's our website. The first video is just like, this is a video of our music, not asking you for anything. I think that's important too. Because otherwise people are just going to be like, oh, this band is looking for something from me, and I don't even know who they are.
There's a book, but do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yeah, Gary V. Yep.
Yeah, so Gary V has a book that I've read. I've read a couple, but one of them's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it talks.
I haven't read it, but I know about it.
Like, don't read it. It's the same thought you just said. Like, you're already doing it, so it doesn't matter. Like, so, but what it is, like for someone who doesn't get the thought, read the book. But for you, like you're already doing it, and Gary would probably fucking agree with that. But it's like you put something online that's a give, not an ask, and a give, and a give, and a give. And to me, like in my spare time, I'm obsessed with finding like the secret principles of the universe, right? Like here's one that's real. It's circulation or reciprocity, or the pendulum swings both ways. And if I want something from someone, the law is I have to give them something first. I have
100%.
And if the band, like how many idiots do you get a message from? Like not even music, but that too, but like just it's no message, it's just the link to their video and it says check this out,
man. ...
And it's like,
why would I take time out of my day? I'm doing something to just, I have no idea who you are. Like what? No, why would I do that? I have no relationship.
Block and delete. Man. Block and delete. No, that's wrong. I'm not. Yes. And not only that, but the next time I see your stupid band's name, I'm not going to listen to it because you did that. Like it annoys you. Like you get this. But if that same person was like, hey, we're friends and we like these 2 or 3 things, like hey Carter, I saw that you have a radio station, I really dig it, I listened to a couple episodes, I'm into guitar too, let's chat. And then we have even like 10 messages, man, and then it's yo, I would really like to know what you think about this, can you just let me know?
It's so much easier that way, man.
It's a lot. Well, it's more work, right? Like they would have to put more messages.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It's such an easier sell. When it comes across, it's such an easier sell.
100%. And the first method of just check this out, ... first message, boom in your face, it doesn't get you anywhere. So spending the 10 messages to get me to actually watch it rather than spamming me and spamming a million people and getting nothing but resentment. It's actually better to go slow and get people to actually watch the video than to just spam a bunch of people with check this out, here you go.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's
really good answer.
In the long run, it makes way more sense.
Way more sense. And that's a good answer. So getting people, like the advertising and getting people to see it and listen to it, man, that's really cool.
Yeah, but I like when I say like that marketing and advertising is so key. Like, again, there's the right way to do it, right? Like, there definitely is cheesy and bad advertising, and advertising one thing a certain way, you can't really. So you have to come at it holistically, and like advertising and understanding how to market music specifically is very important. And there's wrong ways to do it. Like we were just saying, a lot of people do it wrong. And, you want to take the time to do it right. But if you can learn that skill, man, it becomes very important.
It does. And I would have to say, every single artist that has reached a particular threshold, all of them recognize the value. All of them, no exaggeration. Doesn't mean that necessarily their band is the ones who are pulling it off, but if they aren't, they have someone on their team who is. And there's no exceptions to that rule that I've seen so far. Like, it just doesn't happen. You have to be good at it. So that was a kick-ass answer, man. How often you get together as a band?
No. I mean, when we were touring, it was just kind of like whenever we were on tour. And that was, enough. Basically, we would just like get together and rehearse before we went out on tour.
Interesting.
But yeah, outside of that, not really that much. I mean, we always kind of like wrote, even when we like lived literally in the same house, we were roommates. We would like write remotely, like over Dropbox and whatnot. So we're just kind of used to it, man.
Yeah,
it's
so
just
not
how
much
we roll.
If you're moved further, like if you're already...
Yeah, no, and I mean, like we have and still do kind of like write songs in jam sessions when we have them. But it, to be honest, is not the main way we write music.
Sure.
So it's usually like Tarek starts off and then I kind of finish something up. So it's more of an individual effort, to be honest.
And there's no way to say that's right or wrong. Like every single band almost has their own unique, like I've heard bands be like, yeah, we just get angry at each other for long enough and then there's a song at the end. And I've had some bands who are like, we get together and hold hands and it's kumbaya, and then the song comes magically like a baby 2 months later. Like, it's different for everyone, man.
Say better. Yeah.
Dude, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This I know this is a little longer than we anticipated, but I was learning, so I don't make any concessions. I'm not even sorry it kept you this long.
No, it was good, man. This is good combo for sure.